Howdy, howdy, guys. Today we're going to react to regional Thanksgiving foods in the US. And I think Thanksgiving was like, if you're seeing this tomorrow, Thanksgiving was like a couple days ago. So sorry for the late congratulations on it. To all my American viewers, y'all know I love you. Y'all know I love your country. And even though we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Mexico, I think it's like growing on us, like every year we sort of like, oh, today's Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate it, but it's starting to grow on us, whatever that means. But anyways, this is a video. It's regional Thanksgiving foods in the US by Geography King. Let's just watch. Should we drink something out of my pair of Johnny Walkers? I think we should. I mean, I already have my glass, so it's not something spontaneous. I hope like this doesn't really affect the YouTube demonetization.
Howdy, it's Kyle talking about regional dishes
Howdy,
for U.S.
sir.
Thanksgiving. At this time of year, millions of Americans gather with family and friends to have a big feast, but the food we eat isn't always the same depending on the part of the country in which you live. I've been fortunate enough to have Thanksgiving dinners in California, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia, and the things we've had at each one have been a little bit different. So,
Is this guy from California? He has like an accent. I want to say he has like a not he doesn't have like a southern like deep southern accent, but he does like I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to name a state. Like an outer south accent, maybe like a Kentucky accent. Like I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think?
in this video, I'm going to go over some of the regional differences in side
Like
dishes
I'm gonna
and
go.
desserts you might find throughout the U.S. This time of year, you'll often see websites or maps showing stuff like this, where it's talking about the number one side dish or most requested food for
Ooh.
each state for Thanksgiving. But the problem with maps like this is that the sources are often kind of dubious. So some of them use BettyCrocker.com, or they just ask a bunch of chefs or go by whatever the most Googled food term is during
Yeah, that's
Thanksgiving.
bullshit.
That
Yeah.
doesn't really give you the best overall impression of what you're going to see in different parts of the country in terms of sides and desserts. And these maps are always by state, so there always has to be something for each state, even if there isn't really anything iconic in terms of a Thanksgiving dish for that state. So in this video, I'm going to be looking more at regional type dishes, because most things are more regional as opposed to by state. There are a few things that are specific to a state, but I'm going to be going more by regional type dishes here. I'm going to start off by talking about the Southeast, because that's where
Yeah,
I've
the
spent the
deep
vast
south,
majority of my
boy.
Thanksgivings as an adult. One thing that is very ubiquitous in Southeastern Thanksgivings is macaroni and cheese. You'll see mac and cheese for Thanksgiving in other parts of the U.S., but for the South,
If you guys can tell, like I love food, and American food. God damn, like Southern food. Oof, dude, delicious.
Southeast, it's mandatory. Whether it's been Carolina, Tennessee, or West Virginia, every single Thanksgiving it's had mac and cheese. And if you're from the West, you might be thinking,
God
what,
damn,
a
boy.
sippy cup with your mac and cheese? And that's kind of how I thought as well before I moved to South Carolina. I mean, being from the West, I thought of mac and cheese as being that stuff that comes in a blue box. But since then, I've learned it can be really good baked into a casserole and is one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving. Something else very common throughout the Southeast is anything made with sweet potatoes. With North Carolina being the number one
Ooh.
producer of sweet potatoes in the U.S., you can expect to find a lot of sweet potato type dishes in the Southeast. You'll often see it baked into a casserole, often with
Oh,
marshmallows
we
on
do that in
top, or it
Mexico.
can also be a nice dessert baked into a pie. And you'll find sweet potatoes on the dinner
And yeah, guys, I'm drinking a gold label with Coke on the side. I do have my classic Perrier, but I don't know, dude. I just want something sweet. Talking about sweet.
plate all throughout the U.S., but it is most
Oh
common
my
and most
god.
prevalent in the Southeast. Another staple for the Southeast is anything with pecans. So whether they're sprinkled on top of a casserole, baked
Yeah,
into a
bring it
pie, or
on. Bring it
glazed
on,
into
boy.
pralines, you'll often find pecans at a Southern Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
It's also worth noting that it's pronounced pecan when talking about just the nuts, but if you're talking about a
Oh
pie, it's a pecan pie.
man,
Also found at most Southern Thanksgivings
That
are
looks
greens,
good.
which is a general term for collard, mustard,
Holy
or
shit.
turnip greens.
I really think we should celebrate Thanksgiving in Mexico, dude. Just like some people celebrate Day of the Death in the U.S. as a kind of, I don't know, Mexican American heritage thing. Let's just go. Let's just do Mexican Thanksgiving, dude. What the fuck?
And
Why
if you've
not?
been in the house when they're cooking the greens, wow, they stink.
Okay,
And
that's
they can be pretty off-putting to a lot of people because the flavor is often quite strong. But to make it more palatable, most
yeah.
people will cook the
That
greens
doesn't look
in
real
either
good.
lard or butter and have ham hocks in the pot as well. And that takes away some of the healthy aspects of the greens, but it does make them much tastier. common in the western portions of the
Come
southeast,
on.
primarily Louisiana, is something called carrot souffle. And these are carrots baked
A
with egg whites and
souffle.
topped with various sweeteners. When you get to the western end of the
Bring that
South, like
French influence
Arkansas
on
and Texas,
Louisiana.
you'll often see turkey cooked into spaghetti.
Oh,
And even in
man.
these states, turkey spaghetti is not more popular than this regular old turkey, but these are the places in the U.S. where you might find turkey spaghetti. Another southern regional dessert is called Kentucky Derby pie. And as you might expect, it is most common in Kentucky, but you
Woo.
can't find it in other parts of the Southeast. And this is a chocolate chip cookie pie with nuts, usually
Ooh.
walnuts, and it's served warm.
Oh, man, that
Another
looks
popular Thanksgiving dessert in the
so
South is
good.
peach dump cake. Personally, I
Oh,
hate peaches. They're one of
man.
my least favorite foods out there, but peach desserts are pretty common throughout the South
Oh,
on
God bless
Thanksgiving. So
America,
whether it's
bro.
peach pie,
Shit.
peach cobbler, or peach dump cake, you'll find them often in the Southeast. Now let's take a look at the northeastern part of the country.
New
Kind of
England,
like
baby.
macaroni and cheese, cranberry sauce is very common all throughout the U.S. for Thanksgiving, but it is most prevalent in New England. I've seen cranberry sauce occasionally in
All right,
Southern
not a big
Thanksgiving, but it's
fan,
going to
but
be something much more
still pretty
common,
good.
if not mandatory, in New England. Also, in the Northeast in general, you'll find more dishes made with butternut squash. It's often made into a soup or a casserole, and it's pretty common up in New England and the Northeast. And I know it's stuff that's eaten in other parts of the country as well, but I've never had butternut squash for any Thanksgiving, whether it be California or the Southeast. An iconic Thanksgiving dessert for the Northeast is called Indian pudding. And this is cornmeal, milk, and molasses made into a pudding, often topped with
That
cinnamon
looks
and
good.
served warm. Indian pudding is more common in New England, but in the mid-Atlantic states you'll often find shoofly pie. This is another really sweet pie made with molasses, and it's most commonly
Yo, I have to say it. Americans really know how to do pies.
found in
I haven't had a single pie made in Mexico that tastes just as good as most of the American made pies. I mean, y'all just know that. It's like an art.
Pennsylvania. Another signature dessert for the Northeast is Concord grape pie. I've only ever had
By the way,
Concord.
guys, talking about Thanksgiving, you guys tell me, what do you do this Thanksgiving? Do you have like a family tradition? Because I know it's not only like a state by state tradition, but like sometimes different families have different traditions on Thanksgiving. And I know a lot of them have very unique ones. So if you have one you want to share with us, by all means, do it.
Grape made into jelly, so I don't know what the pie tastes like, but I'm sure it's pretty good.
Oh, shit.
It's not a very common pie type to find in the West or in the Southeast, but it is much more common in the Northeast. Now let's move over to the Midwest.
Midwest,
Whether it be the
baby.
Great Lakes or the Great Plains, big hearty casserole dishes are much more common there. And these are often puffy with puff pastry or they're fluffy with marshmallow on top. In the upper Midwest, especially Minnesota and Wisconsin, you'll often find wild rice casseroles, or in Minnesota they're called
Ugh.
hot dish. With that part of the country being the largest producer of wild rice, you will see wild rice casserole much more often up there.
Oh,
Also,
it's
big for
wild
Wisconsin
rice.
as an
Oh, man.
appetizer or a side dish is beer cheese dip. I doubt there could be anything more Wisconsin than beer cheese dip. It's usually
Very,
served with
very European. It almost tells you a little bit about the German heritage of a lot of these states. German or Scandinavian.
pretzels, and they can be the hard kind or the soft kind.
Oh my
In
god.
Minnesota and the Dakotas, especially North Dakota, you'll often see Scandinavian-inspired dishes for Thanksgiving.
Yay.
One is lefse, which is a Norwegian flatbread. It's almost like a potato pancake. It's fairly thin, and it's usually
Looks like a
topped with
tortilla,
cinnamon and
man.
sugar.
What the fuck?
My mother-in-law is of Norwegian descent, and she'll usually make
Oh.
lefse for Thanksgiving. It's quite good.
Oh,
It's something
cool.
you're not really going to find outside of Minnesota or the Dakotas. However, the dark side of Scandinavian-influenced dishes is lutefisk. And this is fish that is aged and dried and then rehydrated and gelatinized.
Dude,
According to some
no,
folks I know
dude.
from Minnesota, lutefisk is something that
I mean, I'm a Mediterranean man, yo. So I like all the Mediterranean food. And then I just don't like a lot of the Northern European dishes.
grandma will show up with at
I
Thanksgiving.
mean, I
but
respect
nobody
them,
really eats it.
but I don't like
Maybe
it.
a couple of little kids will try it, or somebody visiting from out of state, and everyone will laugh at them
They'd be
after they
like,
try it
"What
and find out how
the
disgusting
fuck?"
it is. Like I was saying before about New England being the
How
part of the country
disgusting
where you're
it
most
is.
likely to see cranberry sauce, that is true except for one state, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's the number one producer of cranberries in the country, and there are a lot of dishes made with it throughout the state for Thanksgiving.
Wisconsin
Perhaps
is a
my
beautiful
favorite
state, though.
Midwestern dessert is called gooey butter cake. It's most commonly found in Missouri, but also in Illinois. And it's exactly how it sounds, gooey butter cake, and it's really good. And in general,
looks
throughout
really
the
good.
entire Midwest, you're going to find corn incorporated into the dishes more than most other parts of the country. Whether it be straight corn, creamed corn, or corn casserole, expect corn to be on the plate for Thanksgiving in the Midwest. Now let's head on over to the
Makes sense,
northeastern part
right?
of the country. One of my favorite desserts in general, not just for Thanksgiving or from the Northwest, is huckleberry pie, which is pretty commonly found in
Another pie,
Alaska,
dude.
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and
Nice.
Montana. I'm not sure why
We need
huckleberries
more
aren't more
pies.
well known throughout the U.S. because all the other major berries are found throughout the country, even though they don't really grow them throughout the country. And kind of like how you have beer cheese dip in Wisconsin, well, in the Northwest, you often have smoked salmon dip. Personally, I think that salmon is my least favorite fish, and I probably wouldn't like
What?
smoked salmon dip, but it is very popular and
I mean, this doesn't look appetizing, but salmon is, in my opinion, the best fish
quite
out
common
there.
throughout Alaska, Washington, and Oregon. Heading just south of there, we'll go into Utah. One of the most popular side dishes there is called funeral potatoes. And this is a cheesy hash brown casserole with a crunchy topping, often it's cornflakes. This is something that my mom makes in California, but it's much
Oh,
more common to find in Utah and other areas with a large LDS population. And heading into the Southwest, you'll see many more dishes influenced by Mexican culture. A common Thanksgiving dish in
oh,
California and Arizona, and to a lesser extent New Mexico and Texas, are tamales. And this is a
oh, no
meat
shit.
stuffed into cornmeal rolled up into a corn husk. And they're very labor intensive, which is why you'll often find
Yeah.
them for Thanksgiving and Christmas because it just takes so much effort to do it. It's almost like an assembly line of people putting them together. And even though Thanksgiving
I mean, generally in Mexico, you don't make them, you buy them, unless you live like in a really small town. But yeah, they're good, bro. More
tamales are
tamales in the
much more
USA.
common in the Southwest, I guarantee you where you live, you can go to a Mexican restaurant a couple of weeks before and order a dozen or two tamales for Thanksgiving. And also in this part of the country, you'll often find tortillas as a side dish. They can be
Hey,
flour or blue corn, but either way, they're often served with dinner. And in New Mexico, you'll find red chili sauce and green chilies incorporated into the meal. People
hey,
from New
come on,
Mexico will put
bro.
green chilies into just
Get
about
some
everything,
spice
so
over
whether it be
there.
the stuffing or a casserole, it's going to be pretty spicy. You can't escape the heat for dinner in New Mexico, even for Thanksgiving. And now I want to talk specifically about variations of stuffing or
Ooh.
dressing throughout the country. And depending on the part of the country you live in, it's either called stuffing or dressing. It's usually called dressing in the West and stuffing in the East. But the base of the stuffing is what varies regionally throughout the U.S. In the eastern half of the U.S., most base of the
It ain't gonna stuff itself.
stuffing is what varies regionally throughout the U.S. In the eastern half of the U.S.,
It's
most
not very
stuffing is going to
fancy,
be
I guess.
cornbread stuffing.
Stuffing
I've had cornbread
a
stuffing in
turkey.
every Thanksgiving I've been to in the Southeast, and it's usually my favorite dish of the meal. In the West, much more common is white bread stuffing. And it's
Oh,
essentially the same thing, it's just made with white
ooh,
bread instead of
good.
cornbread. And growing up in California, this is my favorite part of the Thanksgiving dinner as well. Specific to
I
Northern
mean, I think cornbread is better, to be honest.
California, you'll often find sourdough bread dressing. I've never had it, but based on my appreciation of other stuffings, I'm sure it will probably be my favorite dish for Thanksgiving in San Francisco as well. And kind of like how wild rice is most common in the upper Midwest, you'll often find wild rice stuffing up there as well. And I've never had this either, but I'm pretty sure I'd like it. So those are the main Thanksgiving side dishes and desserts I wanted to go over in this video. There's certainly many more that I wasn't able to cover in this
Oh,
video,
that's
so
it?
please let me know in the comment section if there
Yo.
are other type desserts or sides that you have where you live that aren't really common in other parts of the country, or maybe a strange variant of one of the dishes I discussed in this video. But the overall theme to
Oh,
this video is
man.
that no matter where you go in the US, you're probably going to get something good to eat for Thanksgiving. So that's my look at Thanksgiving sides and desserts.
By the way, listening to his accent, I think I take back the whole Southern accent thing. I think he just has like a really interesting voice, I guess. But man, you guys in America have delicious food. I don't know how people across the world say that America doesn't have like good culinary culture because it's totally not true. It's I think America has some of the most delicious food around the world, and it's coming from someone who's from a country that also has some pretty good food. When I go to the U.S., I miss a lot of the Mexican food, but man, it gets replaced by a lot of good American food, except for like the Tex-Mex shit. Like I don't like that. You know, it's greasy and a lot of cheese and like fake ass flour tortillas. I just don't like that. But anyways, if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, check my links in the description if you want to check them out. They are Skillshare links that might be helpful to you. So, bye.